Okay, let's start the problems on how to prepare trial balance. First, we'll understand what is trial balance. It is nothing but a summary statement which records all the accounts balances, income, expense, asset, liability, whichever ledger accounts you prepare, the balances are recorded in the trial balance and it is a summary and it is used to prepare final accounts. So without the trial balance, you cannot prepare final accounts. So these are the rules that you have to remember before preparing a trial balance. On the debit side, you should take all the assets and expenses. So once you get an account, you have to first identify whether it's an asset, liability, income or expense. If it is an asset or an expense, you should take it on the debit side. And if it is a liability or an income, you should take it on the credit side. So let's begin with the first problem so that you get some practical uh, knowledge as to how it actually works. So let's just start. Maybe we will write it here also. First is opening stock. Now stock is what? Stock is raw material. So raw material is always an asset for the company. So if it is asset, what we should do? We should take the balance on the debit side. So opening stock, take it in the trial balance. This is how the format of the trial balance looks like. You need to write the accounts here, name of the accounts, serial number, and whether it should be on the debit side or on the credit side. So here we are going to take it on the debit side, 3600, because stock is an asset and all assets and expenses should be taken on the debit side. Next is wages. What is wages? Wages are, yes, they are expenses. You pay them. So expenses. And what the rule says, debit all assets and expenses, right? This is the rule. So I have to debit wages also. The amount is 2000 rupees. So we take wages as the next account and we take amount 2000 on the debit side. Okay, the next account is sales. Now what is sales? When you sell goods, what do? You earn money. So we treat sales as our income. So when it is income, what we have to do? We have to take it on the credit side. Credit all debit all assets and expenses, credit all incomes and liabilities. So sales is an income and therefore we take it on the credit side. Guess the amount is 24,000 rupees. So let's just take it here, 24,000. Okay, the next is bank loan. Now what is loan? Loan is a asset or a liability? Yes, it's a liability because you're liable to pay. What to do with the liability? We have to take it on the credit side. Remember that rule. Remember how to classify the accounts. Then preparing trial balance is very easy. So liability on the credit side, 880. Okay, the next is coal expenses. The word itself says expenses. So this is an expense. And what we do with expense, we take it on the debit side. 600 rupees, you take it on the debit side. The next one is purchases. What to do with purchases? Those are also your expenses. You're spending money, or you can also call it as asset because you will purchase goods. So those remain as your assets. So whether you treat as asset or expense, it will be on the debit side. So purchases 15,000 on the debit side. The next is repairs. So what is repair? Repair is an expense, and what we do with the expenses, we take it on the debit side. So repair on the debit side, we need to take the amount. So repair is an expense. And carried inward. The next one is also an expense. income tax paid is also an expense. Okay, so all the three will go on the debit side. Repairs, carriage inward, and tax. All three are expenses for the business, so they will go on the debit side of your trial balance. Okay, so let's just see what are the other things now that we need to record. The next thing that was given was debtors. Who are debtors? Debtors are the customers who have to give you money. So they are assets because they will give us money. So debtors are always assets. The next is leasehold premises. Leasehold premises is also asset. If even if you have taken it on lease, till the lease period gets over, it's your property, so it is asset. Cash in hand is an asset. Plant and machinery is an asset, and loose tools is an asset. So all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are assets. Okay, so all these 5 will go on the debit side of the trial balance. So you record all the 5. And take it on the debit side of the trial balance. How to ensure that your trial balance is correct or wrong? When we total it at the end, the debit and the credit side total should match. If both the totals are correct or are equal, only then you will say that you have done the trial balance correctly. Otherwise, you have taken something wrong somewhere. And sometimes in the whenever this trial balance kind of question is asked, not necessarily they'll ask you to prepare only. Sometimes they give you a prepared trial balance and that will be incorrect, so they will ask you to correct it. Okay, so let's move ahead. What is lighting? Lighting is an expense, so we need to take it on the debit side. Okay, so we'll take lighting on the debit side, 460 rupees. Take your lighting on the debit side, 460. And after lighting was creditors and capital and receipts. Creditors, capital, and receipts, all the three will go on the credit side. Can anybody think why all the three are going on the credit side? Let's understand it one by one. Creditors is a liability because these are the suppliers to whom you have to pay money, and liabilities will go on the credit side. Capital is also a kind of liability because you have to give it to the owner. And miscellaneous receipts. Receipts means it is your income. So income will always come on the credit side. So these three will go on the credit side. Now the remaining office salary, office furniture, patent, goodwill, and cash at bank. So let's look at it one by one, what it is and where it will be taken. First is office salaries. What is salaries? Salaries are, yes, they are expenses. So we take it on the debit side because we are debiting all the expenses and assets. So office salary is an expense, it should go on the debit side. What is furniture? Furniture is an asset. So asset again should go on the debit side. Next is patents. What are patents? Patents are also your assets. Goodwill is also your asset and cash at bank is also your asset. So all the four are assets and office salary is an expense. So all of these will go on the debit side. So this is how you prepare a trial balance. You need to identify what will go on the debit and credit, and you need to record it accordingly, and then you need to total it and see to it that the total of both the sides is equal. If the total on both the sides is equal, that means you have done the trial balance correctly. If at any side or at any end the total mismatches, that means you have taken some entry wrongly. Let's see the entire trial balance on a single page. So this is what we have prepared as trial balance, and you can go on adding the serial numbers here. So how many accounts you have. Now let's just total. I'll total it in one of the Excel sheets. You can total it with the calculators. So Control V. Copy it again. Control C. So the total in the Excel sheet we do equal to sum. Open the bracket and select all these and close the bracket. So the total 34,600 on the debit side. Now you can take the credit side. If you see here only 24 plus 8, 32, 32 plus 1000, 33, 33, 800, 33, 900, 34, 600. That's correct. So both the sides, my trial balance is tallying. That means I have done it correctly. Again, I'm repeating the rules for your better understanding. You need to take assets and expenses on the debit side and liabilities and income on the credit side. So this is how you can prepare a trial balance.